Oh,
All righty.
hey, how you doing? Did they get the link? The only way I got,
I sent everybody the link.
only way I saw, I may have missed an email. The only way I saw it was in the calendar. I may have missed it though. I don't know.
Well, I sent out a notice to all the club presidents and all the club coaches in District 77.
Okay, let me take a look.
And I emailed myself and I sent one to myself just to make sure that it was sent out.
Let me take a look. I may have missed it. Let me take a look. I miss things sometimes. Okay. Yeah, and that wasn't into introduction. It was in the club code. Oh yeah, I see it. I see it. I see it.
Okay.
It's the tiny URL. Okay, never mind. I just saw it yesterday. You sent it yesterday.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Okay, yeah.
There's some confusion yesterday because of the wrong, it was the wrong presentation title was given.
Yeah,
But I sent Jessica and Kevin an update to that weeks ago. But I understand that Jessica has she's a
funeral.
yeah, a little bit of a problem in her family right now.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully things can. She'll be back by Thursday. It's been crazy. So you're a member of 2 clubs, right?
3, sir.
3.
Mhm.
I'm a member of 2. I don't know if I could do another one.
You're the vice president and the president of protective pace sitters.
Yeah. Did not really want to be president, but it happened, and then I found out some other clubs would let people repeat as president. So I wasn't happy about that when they said can't do it protected, but then there were other clubs I found in the district were doing that. I'm thinking, Toastmasters must be consistent with the rules on this. I said something to them about they need to be consistent on enforcing that rule.
Hey, Wes.
Either enforce it or don't enforce it. Hey, how you doing, Tom?
Hi, Randy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess you're not. Yeah, I guess you're not working a 40-hour job, are you?
Sir?
Are you working Tom? Are you working a 40-hour?
No, I'm retired.
Oh, that's a
Let me
blessing.
put it this way. I don't work for anybody anymore. I do my own thing, and that's actually keeping me busier, and I'm a lot happier.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm planning to, well, I got good pension and I'm planning to retire in about, a little less than 11 years.
A little less than 11.
Yes.
You're a kid yet.
I'm
You're a
59.
youngster.
I'm 59 and a half.
Hey, Wes, you probably know this. I owe my DTM to Randy. And I
Oh,
will tell everybody that I can that it's because of Randy Cooper that I'm a DTM. And the reason is I started out in Toastmasters. I had no vision of ever going beyond just getting better at speaking. And Randy came to me and said, "Hey, ever thought about being an area director?" And I said, "No." He said, "Think about it." And I did it. And then he said, "Have you ever thought about being a district or a division director?" I said, "No." He said, "Think about it." And I did. It's because of him, because of Randy, that I went on to become a DTM.
Thanks.
And I'm forever grateful for that.
Thanks.
And I
Thanks.
thank you, Randy. You and there's a lesson there. if we as Toastmasters look at the people in our clubs and pinpoint who we think would really do good, and Kevin Poe is a perfect example of that. Look for people that have what it takes to move to the next level. That's where the growth of the district comes from, in my opinion. So Randy, I owe you very much. I'm forever grateful to you for
Thank you.
kind of egging me on a little bit and letting me see the bigger picture.
Well, Tammy
Because
Bredback actually gave, you can thank Tammy indirectly too, because she actually, I asked her, and she actually mentioned your name.
I did not know that, and I thank you, and I will say something to Tammy as well.
Yeah, Tammy.
And I appreciate it. I to both of you that I really am a very appreciative for what you did for me, and I thank you.
Yeah, we were looking. I didn't know people in that area, and I figured Tammy would know some people better more than I would. So I asked Tammy, and she's mentioned you.
Well, that's the key though. Look within your groups to see who
Yeah,
has the qualities to move on, like Wes has the qualities to move on. So
You're
it's a
kind,
good
sir.
thing. And I thank you.
yeah. I mean, everybody does. It's just kind of getting to know folks, and that's where being a district leader is. You get the area directors, and to appoint the division directors, get to know the people in their clubs and get to know who will
Right.
be the district leaders, who will be the club coaches, who could be new club mentors, new club sponsors, especially mentors more so than sponsors, I think, and club
Right.
coaches.
Right.
Club coach is not a particularly easy duty. You have to work at it, but it's okay. It's all right. It's okay.
It's definitely been harder with COVID and all that stuff. It's been more of a challenge. And that's one of the things one of the reasons I'm having a meeting. Hopefully we'll wait a couple more minutes, but. Who else is connecting?
Peggy Hill.
Peggy Hill, okay. Yeah, she and I are actually coaching the club right now, same club. She successfully coached another club, and she's working with me on one club right now. That one's, oh. Tamara's coming in, yeah. Yeah, just been.
Well, when I saw Peggy's picture, I said, "My gosh, you're being joined by Tomato."
Yeah, and Tamara's here too. Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully this will go good. It's just been on my heart a lot lately. And really weighed on my heart since July when I came back to the office. And I mean, the reality is our work environment, a lot of things have changed a lot more than even I envisioned. And I think it's time for Toastmasters, our district, to realize that we're going through some big changes. And it's time to adapt and make the best out of it. It really hit me hard, and I'll explain that in my presentation.
Yeah.
But I think we need to understand what's going on in our culture. And the 2020s will be known as the decade that people start to work at home a lot. I really think that's changed. I think we'll look back at that as decade as people working virtual at home, a big movement toward that.
It's been quite an experience, but it's been a learning experience. It certainly has it does have its positive elements, but
It's an adjustment.
it's a trip.
It's an adjustment. But I guess we can get started in the next minute or so. But let me see if I can share my screen in just a minute. Let me see. Let me do something real quick. See if I can view full screen. Am I on full screen? Yeah, I am. Exit full screen. Yeah, let me do this. All right, let me do something real quick. Sure, I should have done that first, but okay, I'm on here and let's go back to the Zoom. Okay,
And I got a notification when I logged in that the session is being recorded. So
Yeah. Yep, that's good. And hopefully it'll be something that will be very valuable to the district, but if we want to, we can go ahead and do the introduction and go forward.
okay, I'd like to introduce your qualifications to more than 6 of us, but I'll do it anyway. Distinguished Toastmaster Randy Cooper is a senior software engineer and has been married for more than 20 years. He's currently the Vice President Education for Vocalizers Club and Protective Pacesetters Hybrid Club. He's also the president of Protective Pacesetters Hybrid Club, as well as a district club retention chair. Randy was also a past district director and past club growth director. When he was club growth director, the district was distinguished. Randy completed the dynamic leadership path and has only to complete the reflector path project in order to complete the multiple strategies path. There'll be the completion of 2 full paths. Please welcome with me Distinguished Toastmaster Randy Cooper.
Well, I'm going to share my screen and see if y'all can see it. Okay. All right, let's go ahead. Can y'all see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The reason I want to talk about this is our culture is changing a whole lot. It's really changed a whole lot, and even more than I envisioned. When I came back to the workplace July this year, there were some people back working in the office. But I'm going to tell you, it was less than I thought. And a lot of those people who came back in the office in July decided, looks like they pretty much decided to go back and work at home. So a lot of things have changed. And I think there's a lot of dynamics we have to look at. And I hear a lot of people saying, oh, Toastmasters, when they meet back in person, is going to be back to normal. Well, I wish I could say that. And I do think in person's nice. But I think we have to look at the reality of the situation based on what's really happening, especially with corporate lunch clubs. Community clubs, I think, from my experience, will have a better chance of meeting in person. But the reality is there's the online option, there's the in-person option, and there's the hybrid or mixed. And I think that can have the best of both worlds. But I do want to be fair and share the disadvantages of it too. But that's the reason I want to do it. And let's talk about the agenda. Slide presentation. Okay, let's go to the next thing. We will talk about the definition of hybrid, why consider hybrid, disadvantages of hybrid, advantages of hybrid, and hybrid setup. We need to know hybrid setup, and that's a legitimate concern. Obviously, you want to do it right, because if you don't do it right, it can create some problems. Hybrid meeting allows you to meet online and in person at the same time. Both of my home clubs are doing that, and both of them have made a commitment to do that permanently. One's a community club and one is a corporate club. A corporate club is it's an open corporate club, it's a lunch club. They do not, at this point, allow anybody to come to the building unless it's business related totally and employees. They will not at this point. I don't know if that will change. It may, but it's going to be a while. And if we weren't hybrid, the club would be defunct or gone at this point. The second club I have is a community club. Probably most of the people meet in person, but there's some people meet online, and there's some people who are regulars who meet online. Have one person normally meets in person, but they met online because of some schedules. And that's going to talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of hybrid. And I think what's happened some in this hybrid thing, in this in-person, we're wanting to meet in person so much that we don't want to look at the advantages of hybrid. What I don't want to do is try to cram hybrid down your throat. But at the same time, there's a fine line between selling hybrid and cramming it down your throat, promoting it and cramming it down your throat. And I think in our not wanting to cram it down people's throat, I think we have not promoted it. And both extremes are bad. So we need to look at this carefully. I wish more people were here, but I think it's important that we share this with our district. Well, I consider hybrid. And this is the reason why I'm doing this. And again, I'm not seeing a lot of promotion of hybrid. I've seen some people say, okay, you can do it. We want to get it right, which I agree with. But we're losing a lot of clubs. And it's time to stop the bleeding. It's time to stop the bleeding. And one of the quickest ways is to look at hybrid as an option, see the benefits, and go forward with it. Stop the bleeding we have. So why consider hybrid? Club short-term survival. We're losing a lot of clubs left and right. And I think a lot of it is, oh, when we meet in person, things are all right, but sometimes that's too late. And clubs are dying and dropping like flies in a lot of cases because they have this attitude, oh, when we meet in person, things are going to be all right. Well, how long will it be? And once you get back in person, how long will it be to situate yourself? When you have club long-term survival, even if things going well now, in some cases, the club may not make it in the long term by being totally in person. And I certainly think in a lot of cases, totally online won't cut it either. But we have got to consider that long-term survival as well. Many businesses are meeting hybrid with Microsoft Teams, Zoom, etc. Many are meeting online. And certainly now it's time to learn how to communicate online. If you were talking about the only way you can communicate is in person, that's not right anymore. A lot of their businesses like mine that are communicating online, most of my meetings, they're either totally online or hybrid. I haven't had an in-person meeting since 2020 with more than maybe 1 or 2 other people. Since March 2020, I have not had a totally in-person meeting. So if we're talking about people who are being professionals and corporations, then yes, they're going to have to learn how to communicate online. It's just the reality. We open up opportunities for guest speakers. There are people who I would not envision doing presentations, having come and do club presentations. Now we can do that. We can get people outside the city. We can get people even outside this country. One time I had a panel discussion and was with people from different parts of the country. And then there was another time I was part of a panel discussion. One of the people was in England. We can expand our world. And it's important to consider that we can expand our world. So that's the reality, that's our culture. There are some jobs still, like maybe some sales jobs to a point. Some smaller businesses will probably still be meeting in person to some service industries, but a lot of our corporations, especially financial, information technology, I think most of us are going to be working online. In my department, probably about 25% of that many people are back in the office, even partially. How many of you realize that?
Wow.
I'm trying to get you to see, and I think the district, we all need to know this reality that's happening. It's a reality. There's there's still places that do person to person, but there's some industries where you don't have to do person to person contact and direct. So I want you to be aware of that.
Randy,
Yes.
this is Kim Good. I just left my daughter's house and Kristen's actually working all from home and she's working with 3 people in Australia tonight on a project. So this is what you're saying. It's affecting a lot of people. And another point I just wanted to bring up, we have one member of our club who's not renewed while the Delta variant was up. And his comment was doing things completely online was too much like work. Because if you work all day doing stuff online, then being able is a good chance. And that's one of the reasons, another reason to consider hybrid clubs.
Exactly. I mean, you've got to look at it, but I want to be upfront. There's some disadvantages. Anytime you're trying to promote something, you also have to, I've heard one of the effective ways in Toastmasters is to share the cons. So you don't seem like you're one side. I want you to be aware. There's some disadvantages. Setup cost. You got to get the equipment, and it's not cheap to get laptop, maybe a screen. We'll talk about that. Microphones, camera. I mean, those are the types of things you have to get. So that's the thing. Technical skills needed. You have to have some people who have some technical skills to do this. And certainly that's complicated. We're lucky in one club, we got somebody with some technical skills. And then in the other club, the office is set up, and we got a great setup in our office to do this. So we're lucky, but it does take some technical skills. I don't know if you have to be an expert, but you certainly have to have some technical skills to do it and pull it off. And I will share with you more of the community club, because that will relate more with what you may have to go through than the corporate club. And you may be lucky. I would recommend in corporate clubs to look at the hybrid option. I really would at this point, because a lot of people are working in the office. One of the members of in the corporate club, she's in Chicago, Illinois now. She lives in Chicago. We actually have a member from Chicago. And I think Peggy's here, and she, that's one of the people she's mentoring. She's a member. She's in Chicago. It's complicated sometimes, coordinating agendas, membership, guest packets. It's a little more complicated than it is in person. I think we agree with it and how to follow up. That's certainly a problem online. In person, it's not that hard. We know how to do it, but it's certainly more of a challenge to do this on the online part. Would you agree with that? The agendas and the membership, guest packs, follow up. That's been more challenging.
I would say that that's more challenging to get started and get going. But once you have it, you have it. Once you have an electronic version of your guest packets, you have it. And in fact, I would argue that it might be less challenging because it doesn't cost anything and it doesn't take paper. So, and you're right, Randy, everything has its positives and negatives.
Well, I totally agree with that. And sometimes following them up and getting the information is a little bit tougher online than it is in person. It can be, but it can be done. I'm just telling you the challenges I've run into. Doesn't mean you can't be done. We just need to be aware of them. Creative advertising, think outside the box. And have to say this, the state of Alabama, the Southeast, a lot of times we're not good about thinking outside the box. We're just not. We like our traditions. And while traditions aren't bad, sometimes traditions can be our downfall. So be aware that sometimes you may have to think of a stable online account, somebody who'll help keep the accounts regular. And we have a regular account that you can meet online with. So that's certainly tough. Of course, finding meeting places is getting to be a little more difficult now than it was even before COVID. And I think we agree with that. But we got lucky in my other club. We were rotating between 2 places before COVID. And after COVID, we have a permanent meeting place. That means it's the same place every time. So that's been a blessing for us. When other clubs haven't been so lucky, but we've been extremely lucky that we got a permanent meeting place. We don't have to pay for that place. And we had to pay for one of them before COVID when we were meeting in person. And alternating between meeting places Not ideal in person, not at all. Advantages of hybrid: convenience. Convenience. Like you can work at your house, you can spend time with your family. You don't have, maybe that, and that's a nice thing. Some people, that was the problem with community clubs in the past. They may have had kids and didn't want to spend that time with the kids. Now you got your kids, you got your wife, you've got those types of things. If you can't get off or get to the place in time, you can meet online at your office or some other place quickly or on your phone. And we had one lady who was able to do that. She normally likes to meet in person, but the thing is, she was able to meet at her workplace or at the house, which was closer to her workplace. So it certainly was nicer. We have one person who travels a lot in her business. She actually, and sometimes works from home, is actually easier for her to meet online. Certainly a lot of people like to meet in person. And that's why I think hybrid's a good option, because it has the benefits of meeting in person, while it opens up the opportunities for others who may not be able to meet in person. So that's why I'm not always a fan of totally online, because a lot of people don't like the totally online option. Easier to find guest speakers. You don't have to find a guest speaker in your community. You can find a guest speaker from out of town. You can find a guest speaker from out of state. You get to meet people you never would have met. And guess what? I'm also inviting somebody from another city to the meeting. Person is interested. I would have never thought about inviting somebody from another community if we didn't have the hybrid option. I'm not sure how many of us think about inviting people outside Birmingham, Huntsville, or wherever. Maybe a chance to get your friends to come who would not have come otherwise. Now there's no excuse. Oh, I don't know anybody. Well, you might have a friend. Now you may have a friend who lives somewhere else, and they may be able to come to your meeting. Certainly an advantage. I'm not sure how many of us thought about it and how many of us mentioned that. So would you all agree that some of those are some of the advantages? Let's talk about something, and we can bring out some comments. And I know this, one of the things on hybrid, laptop computer. You need to have a good laptop, and Jessica Sohabi's a good person to go to for some information. But if you want to have a service warranty, that she's recommended that as well. If somebody's want to use a laptop, that's fine, but I would spend at least $400 on a laptop to have this setup. And of course, it's got to have some kind of internet connection. A camera. You need to have a camera to point to the screen. Fortunately, in both places, I have a screen. I have a screen at my work home club and the community that had a screen in the background. So we were lucky. We didn't have to buy a screen background. But you need something to reflect off the computer. Online account, obviously. Microphones, you may need those, of course, may have people hear you. Here's something funny, but hear me out on this one. Nobody from Vocalizers here, but we've actually had to go use 2 extra cell phones. As many as 2. Why use the extra cell phones? What's the good of having an extra cell phone? Okay, first one's obvious. If you have a timer, then you can point the cell phone at the timing device. Otherwise, you're probably going to have someone who is online doing the timing.
And to see the audience, the second phone we use for the audience.
That's correct, CK. You got the second one to see the audience, and you can share a lot of stuff. You know, we've had some success with it. So a lot of times people are waiting to see who else is doing it, how it's going, before they want to start it or commit to it. So I think it was important that we have this presentation sooner. Like, we're losing a lot of clubs again, and it's time that clubs that are able to be hybrid, share their ideas with other clubs. Let's go, because I'm tired of losing these clubs. I'm tired of losing lots and lots of clubs. I am tired of it. And to me, the biggest reason is because there's not sure what to do with this online and waiting to meet in person.
I have an interesting comment.
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool to try as maybe a potential, given what Peggy and Dale, well, Dale, because he's president, want to do at UAB, to try to have a fireside chat and experiment with sort of a hybrid presentation format that isn't a Toastmasters meeting. It just so happens that the fireside chat starts at 7 next Tuesday, and we have our meeting from 5:30 to 7. So I sent an email to them asking, like, do you think this is something we should talk about as a board, see if there's any interest in y'all wanting to do this and put on this fireside chat as sort of like a hybrid meeting after our normal meeting.
I think I might be open to this. I certainly want to get some momentum and some traction. I want to stop the bleeding in our district.
Yes.
I am getting tired of it, and I'm getting tired of this. Oh, we got to meet in person. Everything will be okay. It's a self-defeating attitude. It's time to move on. It's been over a year and a half. It's time to move on.
There are definitely advantages of the online only format, but hybrid also has advantages too.
I think that hybrid's got the best of both worlds. The problem is the biggest problems of the cost and the complexity of the setup, the equipment and setup. That are the two biggest drawbacks of hybrid.
Randy, something to add to your list of items needed: a set of external speakers. They don't have to be expensive. The pair we use, I think, were $15 on Amazon, but with just a laptop speaker, it can be very difficult to hear some people.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned the microphones too, as well.
And that's
Yes.
also the thing with UAB, because we've got a university room that's already set up with this kind of stuff. But a lot of folks who go hybrid are going to be doing the DIY approach. So that's why they need to be listening to this presentation.
Exactly. Exactly. I think this is well needed. I'm glad we're recording it. And I think we need to push this hybrid. Again, there's a fine line between trying to cram it down people's throats and promoting it. And that's why I wanted to share the advantages and disadvantages, because I didn't want it.
Randy, yeah, this is the basic list Randy has given. You have to see your room. If it's big, like you said, yeah, Kim said, you will need some extra. This is just the basic. Then you have to kind of trial and error. Like, we could not see audience for 2-3 meetings. And then Jessica suggests that cheapest way to just, put your cell phone on so we can see the audience. So you have to play with it, but I think, you can do it. The other thing, if I understand, or Kim can correct me, that some cost, I don't know, district may subside. Is that what I heard, or I could be wrong? I'm not sure, but
I'm not sure if the district can subsidize that. They were paying for the Zoom counts. I'm not sure if they're able to do that, and I'm not sure if they're authorized to do that. I certainly would ask them first, but as a past district director, I don't think they're authorized. I may be wrong, but I don't think they're going to be authorized to do that. They're only able to use it for district functions, their equipment.
Yeah, and I wish some of the club look into their local library, because at Hoover Library, I asked them and they said, oh, you can rent our laptop when you are having meeting, and you can rent our camera and all that. So, but then fortunately, we found another place where we can meet twice. So I am telling, if you can do it at Hoover Library, call them. The thing is, their policy, once a month you can meet, they're free. But then other meeting, you had to have some other. So that is not a perfect solution, but just to look into it.
And maybe for an advanced club, Hoover Library actually may be good for an advanced club that meets once a month.
Oh, that should be great. Yeah, because they can do hybrid meeting because they have a few things, all this.
You know.
Like I said, 2-3 things what you really need, like laptop is the big expense, and they said you can use ours.
I think
But yeah, they need to call and find out more. This is what I have information, maybe 4 or 5 months old. So, things change rapidly.
Yeah, Tamara, I think you're a member of advanced clubs or you were. So I think maybe that might be something they're looking for, meeting place they can't find one. Maybe the Hoover Library, at least for the one time a month they do meet, could be a viable meeting place for the Thursday that every third Thursday. I didn't
Oh.
think of it.
They
I didn't
should,
think of it.
they should look into that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Maybe I can. Yeah, so yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention about the microphone, if you have more than one, because you have an S on the end, you will need a cheap little mixer as well to do it right.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem we have had as a hybrid is getting our in-person members to realize they've got to go up front and they've got to speak into the microphone to be heard by the people online.
Mhm.
And the other problem we have is that the TV screen is to one side, and we've had to teach, especially our club president, and I had to learn it too, is the visitors, if you're looking at the monitor, the visitors are seeing the back of your head because they're seeing you from the laptop camera that we have. So those are little things that once you as a group learn how to deal with them, improve the meeting. And we've been meeting hybrid since April, and we have just recently worked out all the technical difficulties we would have occasionally.
Mhm. Yeah, you are right. You have to work with it. Like Randy knows that we had, this may be our 4th or 5th meeting hybrid, I think. And
I think
We
we're
are-
going to a 6th, 5th. We may be, when was it, September when we started hybrid or late September?
yeah, late September. Yeah,
Early September.
because-
If it's early September, it'd be a 6th meeting. It's either a
So-
5th or 6th.
yeah. So we are even still working to get perfection. So you are right, Kim. It's just trial and error. Like I said, last meeting, we figured it out how they can see the audience. And microphone, actually, our laptop volume was working well, and we did not need a microphone for a while. And then, Jessica would like to hold mic in the hand, and so we tried. So we have microphone also, but before that 2 meetings, we did not use microphone and we were fine. So I don't know. I feel like it's a new laptop, so maybe it has a good volume. So we were fine. But yeah, microphone is good because when they come to the podium, we hand it over because we don't shake hand right now. So that was good also.
Yeah,
A couple of things that I've experienced, and we try to get together. We were experimenting with hybrid meetings at the Gulf Coast Toastmasters, meeting at a church. Unfortunately, the Wi-Fi connection didn't appear to be strong enough to support the hybrid efforts. We did have technical issues, and yes, cell phones came in very handy during that meeting. But so we're currently meeting online. I mean, it's a total Zoom meeting until we can find a place that would support hybrid meetings.
Yeah, I mean, if I did not mention that, that's another disadvantage is sometimes the internet connectivity could be sketchy. And that is a valid point for that happening. With both places I meet, their internet connectivity is good. So we're overall good. So we're good to go, but it is an issue.
Yeah, we're lucky that the church we meet at has so many members that when we're the only ones there, there's not a connectivity problem.
Yeah.
And when you say connectivity, it's really the upload speed. Most of the time, the download speed you can get, but the upload speed, which is the audio going out from the room and the video going out, you've got to make sure that's at least five or greater megabits per second.
Mhm. But yeah, it's very, in corporate clubs right now, I'm thinking in a lot of cases, the corporate clubs seem to be getting hit worse than community clubs from my experience. From when I'm looking at the district websites, from my own personal experience, I'm finding clubs are meeting during lunch to be a bigger challenge than evening clubs now. And Toastmasters in the past recently was pushing the corporate clubs, but things may have to be rethought a little bit about this. Like Tamara said, corporate clubs do not take lunch hours a lot of times. They work at home. They work through lunch a lot of times. And it's certainly, I don't see it as much. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but with not meeting in person, people a lot of times will work through their lunch. And I've also suggested to some other people that corporate clubs may need to consider opening up their clubs to the community and letting people in the community pay their own dues to survive out of necessity. The corporation, wouldn't expect the corporation to pay for the non-employees, but I certainly think that corporate clubs may need to open up their doors to letting non-employees in and let those non-employees pay their own dues. Your thoughts on that? And evenings, yes. Dale? I'm Dana.
I'm interested, this is Tamara, I'm interested in what Dana has to say, especially about the 2121 building where Iron City Toastmasters used to meet. I'm wondering if we'll have that space available to try out hybrid meetings in the evenings, if we don't go back to noons, for corporate clubs. And Power Speakers hasn't been a corporate club for about 5 or 6 years now. Anyone can join, but because we do have a facility that's corporate owned, they're not allowing the public in right now.
Right.
Not to the places where things have to be kept clean and there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there are some customer care service centers open, but that's limited. The spaces where we have conference rooms and we'll have all this equipment, they're not open yet. Maybe they'll be open November 29th when we go back, but they're just trying to get us ready to come back.
We had everybody come back and they still not letting the non-employees in our place of protective.
That doesn't surprise me, but
I would expect it to be the end of March at the soonest before this happens. I could talk to one of the other people, but realistically protective, I don't expect it till like the 1st of April at the soonest, if ever.
the upside, Randy, is maybe y'all can meet at Protective Stadium instead.
Yeah. Maybe.
I jest.
Same problem I am having with my coach club, Southern Style. They are corporate club with Southern Company services. Now employees are coming, but not the outside people. And they don't know when. And all of you have heard that we are having another surge. And in Alabama, we have what, less than 50% vaccinated. So we are going to have this problem. I don't see March, but we'll see what happens. So we have to think, I don't know what other alternative. I mean, if you
Well,
meet,
for the time being, it seems that other surge is actually in areas that weren't affected, that weren't hit hard by the first surge. And since we could be okay for a while, but we really don't know for sure. So yeah, I mean, right now, so far, so good, but who knows what it's going to look like in 2 months. But
right after 2 holidays, we don't know, because
Mhm.
wasn't yesterday news or day before, they were showing the chart, like half of the USA, not in the South, but Arizona, Colorado, all those were showing surge in those states. So we don't know. I mean, yeah, we will hope for best, but right now, yeah, corporate club is really like Protective Southern Company. They are really in bad shape. I mean, just don't know what to do because they can't invite people outside.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we're going to have to do, and here's the advantage of hybrid, is you can start inviting people outside your community. You can invite people outside your country and maybe invite people from foreign countries who speak English, and that might be an evening club for them.
Yeah,
I mean, think about England. It may be an evening club for Great Britain or places like that.
hey, that's a great idea. We're Iron City out of Birmingham, so we can recruit in Birmingham, England. See if we can put BCFC folks into our 11:30 hybrid meeting. It'll be
Yeah, the Twin Cities should help us. Yeah. We have to just see the time wise, but it's a good way but to do it. But we'll see. We can try to reach out.
It may not be a bad idea because I think community clubs are not, once this in-person stuff, everything settles. I don't think community clubs are going to, I think community clubs won't be hit as hard as the corporate clubs from my experience.
What's
It's less fun.
interesting, the 2 clubs that I'm VPE of are kind of a hybrid of corporate and community. Tamara was mentioning, of course, the 2121 building, which is actually a government building. However, we are a community club, and going completely online has enabled us to expand our reach to pretty much the entire world. We've got officers that aren't even in Birmingham, but what Tamara wanted me to expound on is what the possibility is of the 2121 building being the site for hybrid meetings. And yes, we've got to work out all these DIY technical issues. We have to have good equipment. We have to have all the things mentioned here in this presentation, but we also have the constraint that they are not open after 5 p.m. So the only way we would be able to have hybrid meetings is if we were alternating, because we don't want to lose our 5:30 evening foothold on that's completely online either, would be if we were alternating completely online 5:30 meetings and hybrid 11:30 meetings. And right now we're trying that with completely online, alternating 5:30 and 11:30 meetings.
Yeah.
So that expounds on what she had to say.
Can I offer an idea here? This is Tom, and I actually am a member of Gulf Coast Toastmasters. But I'm living in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I'm one who does participate through Zoom.
Mhm.
I want to preface this by saying I apologize because I have not been on a lot of these calls until tonight. And I know that a little bit of what I want to talk about probably was covered by Kim previously, and I apologize, Kim, that I did not sit in on that presentation that you gave. We have an opportunity here because the things that we are going through are not unique to just Toastmasters.
No.
Anybody that has more than one location for their business, and maybe even just one location, is going through the same issues with remote meetings. And while we talk about doing evening meetings and whatever, a lot of businesses have daytime meetings for their key management personnel. If their key management personnel are not in the same city, they've got the same issues we do. If we can, my thought is this, and I'm throwing this out for an idea. I don't have all the answers yet, but it's a thought in order to grow the district, not just solve this issue, is that if we can take this presentation that Randy has given us and package it in such a way that we can present it to companies to their HR departments or companies that have management training programs. When I joined Toastmasters, I joined to become a better communicator, become a better speaker. But if you think about it, Toastmasters tagline is where leaders are made, not where speakers are made. Because of all the side skills that I've learned, listening and organization and how to put on a meeting when everything falls apart. Those are skills that management trainees need. And if we can take this package into a company that has a management training program with maybe multiple locations or a lot of people that are working from home and say, look, Toastmasters offers this ability to train these people on how to be able to lead and communicate and organize a meeting effectively. We've got something really good to offer, not just individuals. We tend to talk about, we don't really address how to recruit new people. In my opinion, if we can take this to a company and said, here's this package, and just by forming a club as part of your management training program, we can show you how to train people to be able to put on these kinds of meetings and communicate well and maybe grow the district this way. It's a thought. Now, like I say, I don't have the answers, but it's, in my opinion, we have a valuable opportunity here if we take advantage of it properly. And Randy's presentation here is a great, great, great thing to offer.
Yeah.
And we take the ideas that everybody's had, like, Kim, I never thought about the speakers, attaching a speaker to a computer so that people can hear better. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's a great idea. So take everybody's ideas and incorporate it into this. We've got something that we can offer to grow the district as well.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And I do think that this is the biggest, probably the number one issue is adapting online and, learning and getting familiar with our current education program. I'm going to share this real quick on that. My experience. I'm a DTM. I was a past district director, and I've done dynamic leadership and work on motivational strategies. And I'm going to share with you this. With dynamic leadership, it taught me with my leadership style that being a collaborative person, I'm sometimes not assertive enough. And people at work have reminded me of that and told me, hey, you need to be more assertive, make a decision. And I thought, this is great. Toastmasters is teaching me that and works reinforcing that. And then motivational strategies is helping me learn I need to be a better listener. I've had people at work tell me I need to be a better listener. We have an active listening project with table topics. And then there's another project on handling stress and knowing what's ahead of me sometimes release the stress. But this program is helping me realize more about myself. These paths which I'm working on is helping me understand more about myself as a person. And while I'm learning how to speak, I'm also learning more about myself. What's a bigger blessing than not just knowing how to speak and communicate, but knowing more about myself so I can communicate better. And I'm not sure if we need, maybe share some testimonials like that with our education program and say, hey, I'm not only learning, I'm learning about myself better so I can communicate better and be a better leader and better communicator.
And that's true. It's not, I don't know why I did that. It's not just about public speaking. It's definitely about the leadership too. Like I have a friend, I have gotten to join Iron Cities Club because I think it would help her leadership skills. She's kind of a natural public speaker, but her leadership skills could use some work, at least I think. So, I mean, there are lots of reasons that people join Toastmasters. Sometimes it's to be a better public speaker and they feel like they have their leadership pretty much nailed. And sometimes they think they want to be better leaders and they're pretty good at public speaking already. But of course, the bottom line is this: everybody can improve at everything. Nobody is the best in the world. So that's why Toastmasters is there. And that's just different avenues that we need to take toward marketing the club to potential members.
And going back to I did share some disadvantages of corporate for hybrid, but there are some advantages. You don't have to set up a lot of equipment. It's already set up for you in the corporate building. And with Protective, it was already set up for us. We just had to get some people to configure it.
Oh, yes, I agree. I agree with both what Dana was saying and Tom previously. And I love the idea of the testimonials, Randy. I was mentioning if we present, let's present to show them all aspects of how it would actually work. Meaning some people would be in person presenting the idea to them, and they would see the people in the conference room on the other side of the presentation via hybrid. I'm not sure how to explain that, but what I meant is to present on hybrid, also have people in person and on the screen.
I agree. And I think a lot of corporations out of necessity are going to have to do hybrid, even if the corporation is only in that town. A lot of people working at home. And if we're going to be, if for a corporate club, realistically for a corporate club to think that it's going to survive in person is a long shot in many cases. In many cases, it may not even be realistic. So it is time I certainly think for corporate clubs, it's even more crucial to consider hybrid than even community clubs from my experience.
Oddly enough, UAB is one of the more successful clubs in Area 23 in Division B, and they completely transferred from being an online club to an in-person club. We have not yet, the UAB has not yet embraced the hybrid ideology yet. But I think it would definitely be a plus.
Well, also UAB is a lot of ways a community club and meeting in the evening, so
Yeah.
it may have a better chance. But I'm talking about lunch clubs now. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a necessity at this point, from my experience, that lunch clubs have got to go hybrid. But if other people's work environments are anything like Protectives, it's
Right.
I don't see a choice besides that. I don't know how many people at your building, at your employment place, are working at home, for example, Dana, but more than half of our employees are working at home.
Jefferson has been a lot more in person in 2021 than they were in 2020.
Yeah.
But still, we weren't really required to work from home for that long, only about 7 weeks in 2020. But the weird thing about Jefferson County is you could work there in your building, but they had the conference center that we had our meetings in closed from March of 2020 to August of this year. It reopened on August 16th. So it is again an option for us to use, but again, it's only open from 8 to 5.
Yeah. And I don't
Oh.
know how, I don't know.
To answer, sorry,
Sorry.
yeah.
I don't know if there's a time limit on this, but we've got, it's about 7 minutes to 8.
Yeah.
I
Any other-
wanted to say a couple of things. First, I agree with Tom's comments about advertising, but for the hybrid setup that we're using at Redstone, I'm providing the laptop and the club does pay for the Zoom account. Other clubs are using it as well, but buying, other than the camera, buying microphones, cables, speakers, we spent about $200. So if clubs are wanting to know prices of things, the most expensive thing we bought was about a $90 microphone. Everything else was less than $20. It just all added up because you need cables for the microphone, cables, HDMI cables, and we do use either the screen projector and screen or TV, large TV that is already at the church, so we didn't have to get those either.
And you didn't have to buy the laptop, so that was a big thing. We had to pay over $400, plus we did service warranty on our laptop. So we probably spent we spent a bit more, Citra, it was about $1,000, but with the warranty on a laptop too. But we had to buy a laptop. That's where the biggest cost is gonna come in.
Yeah, warranty on laptop was very expensive. It was 3 years, I believe. And we paid $190 or something
Yeah.
like that. That was the most expensive, but
Except the
if
computer.
some member can rotate the member and bring their laptop in the beginning and see, that will be good. So you can save there. And then, yeah, microphone, Best Buy had a good deal, but still we paid, I think, $75 and maybe $10, $15 warranty. We got warranty on everything because we had money and we just don't want to deal with it. So we were okay, but yeah, this is the solution that if laptop, people can bring their own, that is a big expense they can save.
Yeah, and as we found out last Tuesday when I had to make an emergency run to check on my parents, it's always good to make sure you have at least 2 people who can set it up.
Susie? Susie?
Yeah,
Well,
Susie
I
Proctor.
am in Kim Good's club, Redstone Toastmasters. And I can tell you that from our experience, well, we greatly missed Kim. And thinking that Lillian knew all the ABCs of it was wrong thinking, because we didn't have enough knowledge. And to our great fortune, somebody from the church tech team was there and came down and availed himself and even left himself on call in case we ran into trouble. And we did run into trouble, and we did text him and say, please come down and help us. So that brings me to the point, and I think Kim will probably support this, is that there needs to be a tech team. It's because right now, she and Lillian are sort of our tech people. The other people who could be tech, they log in virtually. So they're not really a help from us on site. I think it's a really good learning experience. Maybe if there was like, even if there was a meeting that was surrounded on the theme of teaching all the members the tech process. So, so that everybody can learn how to do that. I think it's a good skill for us to learn. Now we've mastered Zoom, right? Who would have thought we would have been doing this? Let's master something else. And Kim can't always be around. She stopped by my house today and gave me the card key to get into the secret door, and hopefully she'll show up. But if she doesn't, there we are
Yeah.
again. And
Our thing also, Susie, same thing what you are saying, Randy and other Chris Marks, they are setting up. And one time we took like whatever they joined, we took the close-up pictures about it. So that helpful. And then I was going to tell Chris, maybe he can write down some instructions. So what if Randy and Chris doesn't show up? I guess I will be there doing it. So yeah, that's a good point. We need to work on that.
I agree with that. But,
Shoot.
yeah. What, Dana? Right.
he's having technical difficulties.
Yeah. Any other comments? I am going to say though, one advantage though of a corporation is a lot of times they do have the room set up. They do have the equipment. You just have to have an AV team to do it. But that is an advantage of a corporation if they'll let you use the meeting room to do that. It's certainly easier and less costly. But
Hey, Randy, since I wasn't on earlier, I didn't have the link. On page 2 of your PowerPoint, you talk about why consider hybrid. And you, point number 3, many businesses are meeting hybrid with Microsoft Teams, Zoom, etc. Could you just tell me what you covered there? Because I'm in different meetings with different levels of Toastmasters. Some use Teams, some use Zoom, some use some other format. And what was your discussion? I was just kind of, would you?
okay, I'm just sharing from my experience that I've not, except for maybe with one or perhaps 2 other people, I have not had any business meetings with anybody since before COVID in March 2020. All of my meetings, whether it's in the office or at home, have been Microsoft Teams. And then of course with me, I've done some Zoom meetings, but Microsoft Teams, we've done a lot of meetings through that. So I'm just saying that businesses are doing that a lot. And most of the people I work with are working at home pretty much. I would say about 75%. They're just working online.
Yeah, it seems to be a really good format for you to be able to upload your information into the team folder, and then you have it, whereas in Zoom, once you log off, it's gone, right?
Yeah, I think Microsoft will keep it for a little bit, but then after a week or 2, then you'll lose it. But it's probably
No, that's
depends
not
on
true. I'm on several teams and I've got stuff from last year.
That company, we lose it pretty quickly.
Oh.
There might be some stuff you keep, but some of the conversations you lose, you might be able to keep some of the other stuff, but some of the conversations you can lose. It just depends. But yeah, you may keep some of it. But I'm certainly learning Teams, but yeah, I think we need to be aware that our climate's changing. And just want to make sure as to get very close. A lot of people are saying, oh, once things are back to normal, me personally, everything will just come back like it was a Toastmasters. No, things are not going to come back totally to normal. That's the reality. And I got a slap in the face when I came to the Office of Protective. More change than I thought there would ever be. There's a new normal and we're having to adapt to it. The hard thing is finding out how much it's really changed, but it's changed more than I thought it ever changed. 2020s will be the decade of people working online. Definitely, you'll be known for that for sure. I mean, there's been a big change in that, more than you ever want to imagine. I think Toastmasters has got to realize that reality.
Well, they do. I'm on a board committee and I was assigned Region 13, which is India, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Nepal, etc. There's 9 countries in Region 13. And they do everything online, everything.
Mhm.
Their districts have over 4,000 members in them. So that's all I've been doing for the last few weeks, is doing Zoom conversations with these district teams. And
Yeah.
it's just amazing the technology demands that they have, you know.
Just district training, I will be shocked if it ever is totally in person again. You might have some people come in person, but it's either going to be totally online or it's going to be hybrid. I will be shocked if we ever have another district training for club officers that is totally in person. I'm not sure if you agree with me. I think those days are over. Will there be some in-person options? Perhaps. Will it be totally in person? No, I don't see it.
I would suggest everybody record their chats.
Hmm?
I would suggest everybody record or to save their chats.
Yeah. All right, thanks everybody. And if anything else, appreciate everybody who's here. I hope this has been helpful, but I've been sharing, I think a lot of this has come from my heart. It's a lot more, it's just coming from my heart and just saying, I'm tired of the bleeding. I'm tired of losing clubs in our district. It's time to move forward and see what we can do and adapt.
Good session, Randy. Thank you.
Yeah, good session. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your dedication indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. And
Thank you, Randy.
You're
Good
welcome.
presentation.
night.
Good-
Thank you. Thank you, Randy.
Thanks for your
Thanks,
time.
everyone.
Thank you.
with smiles to Susie, I would say overall, cool beans.
Cool beans. Absolutely. Signing off, the red streak, Mr. Hillstrom.
Okay.
Oh, Randy, I'm really sorry I missed. Look, I have your thing. I've been ready to write notes on it. I've got it almost every page memorized. I was just like, I sent a note out and I kept waiting and waiting and waiting, trying to get the link, and it just didn't come. And no, no blame anywhere, but I really, I looked at this and I just saw how much time and effort you put into it. And it's just a testament to your dedication to this district, not to Toastmasters, but to District 77.
Yeah,
And I appreciate that.
I want to see the bleeding stop in this district. I really want to see it stop. And I want to see our district leaders to say, okay, let's adapt. Culture's changed, let's adapt. Let's see what we can do to adapt. I'm
Right.
tired of the self-defeating attitude.
Right.
It-
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I mean,
it's going to be a hurdle to cross, that's for sure.
yeah,
I mean,
but we can do it
our
together. We
district, what, suspended 11 clubs already, and still
Well,
time to suspend more. It seems like that's,
and now they're going back to the old rules. So they got rid of the extra 6-month grace period. And that's why the 11 clubs suspended, because they quit the 6-month period,
Right.
extra 6-month grace period. It's over now.
I think people are just overwhelmed.
We got to kind of come together and see, hunker down, see what we can do, work together and
Yeah.
hunker down. I don't know what else to do. I mean, we're going to have to, but we just can't say, oh, once we be in person, everything's going to be okay. It's got to stop.
Yeah, and sometimes you just have to be the person to take the first step,
Yeah.
So,
I
well,
appreciate it.
so much for putting that together. I wish I'd have been on for the whole thing, but
Yeah. I hope
is that your
everything-
personal Zoom that
No.
that Wes sent me?
No, it was the district, I think.
Oh, okay. All righty.
Thanks a lot.
Well, on to the next one.
All right. Thank you. Good luck with
Okay,
it.
Randy. Bye-bye.
13.